I can make it back. I swore. My friends watched in silence as the dealer took my final chips. My name is Marcus. I'm a construction worker who used to build things that lasted. 3 months ago, I had an apartment, a truck payment I could make, and a girlfriend who laughed at my jokes. Today I sleep on a friend's couch and drive past the casino twice a week, trying not to look. People think gambling ruins you all at once. It doesn't. It starts with math that makes sense. I had 3 days to make rent. I had a plan. I knew blackjack better than most guys. Basic strategy, card counting, the works. $400 in, 800 out, problem solved. My friends came to keep me honest. The first hour went perfect. Then the cards turned, and my plan became a prayer. I kept saying those 4 words like a magic spell. The ATM visits blurred together. My girlfriend stopped talking. My best friend stopped trying to help. I couldn't hear them anymore. Only the sound of chips hitting felt. When you believe you can outsmart luck with math, what breaks first, the strategy or the man? Rick's boots crunched on the gravel at 7 sharp. I was drinking coffee from my thermos, watching steam rise off the asphalt where they'd poured it. Yesterday, the Henderson Shopping Center was supposed to keep us busy through summer. 43 units, underground parking, the works. Delacroix, he called. His voice had that flat tone I'd learned to read over 15 years of construction. Good news came with a smile. Bad news came neutral. I walked over. 6 other guys clustered around his pickup truck, hard hats in their hands. Nobody was gearing up for work. Henderson's canceled, Rick said. Owner pulled funding. Effective immediately. The words hit different than I expected. Not like a punch, more like stepping off a curb you didn't see. My stomach dropped, but my face stayed steady. What about the contracts? Danny Kowalski asked. Danny had twin boys and a mortgage in Lakewood. Boy, Rick said. Legal says it's clean on their end. Market conditions, financing fell through. Same story everywhere. I nodded like this made sense. Like I wasn't doing math in my head. Rent due Thursday. Truck payment Friday. Groceries running low. Unemployment'll kick in, Rick continued. Might be 2 weeks. Y'all know the drill. The drill. File papers. Wait. Hope something else breaks ground before the money runs out. We shook hands. 15 years I'd worked for Rick, and he looked as tired as I felt. This wasn't his fault. The economy was eating construction alive, one project at a time. I drove home with the radio off. My Ford pickup needed new brakes, had needed them for 2 months, but that was tomorrow's problem now. Today's problem was simpler. I had $1,847 in checking. Rent was $1,200. That left $647 for everything else until unemployment maybe started. Back in my apartment, I spread the bills across my kitchen table like playing cards. Electric, $89. Phone, $65. Truck payment, $340. Insurance, $110. Groceries, gas, minimum on the credit card. It added up to more than I had to. I opened my laptop and logged into my bank account. The numbers didn't change. $1,847.42. Same as this morning. Same as yesterday. My phone buzzed. Text from Sarah. Dinner tonight? Antonio's, Sarah Hoffman. We'd been together 8 months. She was a nurse at Denver General, worked the early shift, always smelled like hospital soap and vanilla lotion. Good with numbers. Practical. The kind of person who kept receipts and knew where her money went. I stared at the text. Dinner meant $20 I didn't have. But it also meant I'd have to tell her about the job, and I wasn't ready for that. Conversation. Sarah would want to help. She'd offer to loan me money. She'd be nice about it, but I'd still feel like a charity case. I typed back. Yes. 7. My phone rang. Unknown number. Marcus? It's your brother. Tommy. Calling from Sacramento, where he sold insurance and owned a house with a 2-car garage. Hey, I said. Heard about Henderson. Rick called me. Of course he did. Rick and Tommy went to high school together. The construction world was small, and bad news traveled fast. Yeah, it just happened. You need anything? Tommy asked. I mean, temporary. Until you land something else. There it was. The offer I'd been expecting and dreading. Tommy meant well, but taking money from my little brother felt like admitting I'd failed at the one thing I was supposed to be good at. I'm fine, I said. Got some savings. Unemployment'll come through. Okay, but if you change your mind, I won't. But thanks. After he hung up, I sat at my kitchen table and did the math again. Same numbers. Same problem that I pulled out my wallet and found the business card wedged behind my driver's license. Riverside Casino, black letters on gold foil. Jake had gotten it for me last month when we'd gone for his birthday. I'd played blackjack for 3 hours and walked out with $80 profit. Not much, but I'd felt sharp. In control. Like I understood something most people missed. The card felt smooth between my fingers. I turned it over, then set it next to the bills. Tomorrow, I'd start calling contractors. Send out resumes. Work the phones like a job. But tonight, I had dinner with Sarah, and I had to figure out how to tell her that the careful life we'd been building just got a lot less certain. My phone buzzed again. Can't wait to see you, Sarah had texted. I have good news to share. I stared at those words and felt the gap between us widen. She had good news. I had bad news. And somewhere in that gap was the business card from Riverside Casino, promising nothing but whispering about possibility. But Antonio's pizza smelled like garlic. And hope. Sarah was already there when I walked in, sitting in our usual booth by the window. She'd changed out of her scrubs into jeans and a sweater the color of late sky. Her hair was down, still damp from her post-shift shower. Hey, she said, standing to hug me. She felt warm and solid. Real. Hey yourself. I slid into the booth across from her. You look tired, she said, studying my face the way she studied her patients. Sarah noticed everything. Pallor, posture, the way people held themselves when they were hurt. Long day. Maria came over with menus and water glasses. We'd been coming here long enough that she knew our order. Margarita for Sarah, pepperoni. For me, extra cheese on both. But tonight I opened the menu and pretended to read it. The usual? Maria asked. Just breadsticks for me, I said. Not that hungry. Sarah's eyebrows went up. I was always hungry. 15 years of construction had taught me to eat when food was available, because you never knew when the next break would come. You sure? Sarah asked after Maria left. Yeah, you mentioned good news. Her face lit up. I got the promotion. Charge nurse for the cardiac unit. Starts Monday. This was big. Sarah had been working toward it for 2 years, taking extra shifts, going to conferences on her days off, studying for certifications. Charge nurse meant more responsibility, better hours, and a raise that would put her solidly in the middle class. That's amazing, I said, and meant it. You deserve it. 15% bump in pay, she said, grinning. Plus better benefits. I might actually be able to afford that vacation we talked about. The vacation. 2 weeks in Colorado Springs. Maybe see some shows, stay somewhere nice. We'd planned it back when I thought Henderson would last through Christmas. Sarah, I need to tell you something. Her smile faded. She set down her water glass and gave me her full attention. Henderson got canceled. This morning. Oh, Marcus. She reached across the table and covered my hand with hers. I'm sorry. Are you okay? I'm fine. It's just temporary. These things happen. What's the timeline? For unemployment, I mean. 2 weeks, maybe 3. She was doing math in her head. I could see it in her eyes, the same calculation I'd been running all day. Do you need? I could help out. Just until you get back on your feet. There it was. The offer that made me feel grateful and ashamed in equal measure. I appreciate it. Really. But I've got some savings. I'll figure it out. Sarah nodded, but I could see her processing this. She was practical above all else. She knew what construction workers made, and she knew what apartments in our neighborhood cost. Maria brought the breadsticks. I ate one to be polite, but it tasted like cardboard. Have you called Tommy? Sarah asked. He called me. Offered to help. That's good. I turned him down. She was quiet for a moment. Why? Because I'm 33 years old, and I've been taking care of myself since I was 18. I don't need my little brother bailing me out. It's not bailing out. It's family. It's charity. It's not. She stopped herself. We'd had versions of this conversation before. About my pride. About my need to handle everything alone. About the way I'd rather struggle than ask for help. What are you going to do? She asked finally. Start calling around tomorrow. Send out resumes. Something will turn up. I know it will. You're good at what you do. I was good at what I did. But good didn't matter when nobody was building. Good didn't pay rent. Let's talk about something else, I said. Tell me about the promotion. What's the new schedule like? She let me change the subject, but I could feel her worry sitting between us like a third person at the table. Sarah was a fixer. She saw problems and wanted to solve them. But this wasn't the kind of problem you could solve with a Band-Aid and a dose of medicine. When the check came, I reached for my wallet out of habit. I got it, Sarah said quickly. No, it's fine. Marcus, I got the promotion. Let me celebrate by buying dinner. I let her pay, but it felt wrong. Another small surrender. Another reminder that my careful life was already coming apart at the edges. Walking to our cars, Sarah linked her arm through mine. It's going to be okay, she said. I know, but I didn't know. And as I drove home through the dark Denver streets, I kept thinking about the business card on my kitchen table. About the 3 hours I'd spent at the blackjack table last month, watching cards fall in patterns I could almost predict. About the $80 I'd won just by paying attention and making smart choices. Back in my apartment, I sat at the kitchen table and looked at the bills again. Same numbers, same problem. But now there was something else, the memory of how it felt to have control, to make decisions based on skill instead of luck, to turn a small amount of money into something bigger through patience and discipline. I picked up the Riverside Casino card and turned it over in my fingers. Tomorrow, I'd make phone calls. I'd send resumes. I'd do all the responsible things. But tonight, I was going to think about mathematics. Jake answered on the second ring. Background noise told me he was still at Peterson's Auto. Air compressor hissing, classic rock playing low. What's up, Mark? Henderson got canceled. Shit. When? This morning. The background noise cut off. He'd stepped outside. You okay? Yeah. Just need to blow off some steam. You free tonight? Always free for you, man. What do you want to do? I'd been friends with Jake Morello since junior year of high school. He was the kind of guy who'd loan you his last $20 and never mention it again. Solid. Loyal. The kind of friend who'd drive you to the airport at 5 a.m. or help you move a couch up 3 flights of stairs. Remember your birthday last month? I said. At Riverside? Yeah. I've been thinking about that blackjack table. How I did pretty well. Pause. Jake was connecting dots. You want to go gambling? Not gambling. Just, I don't know. Cards. See. If I can make a little money while I'm looking for work. Mark, that's gambling. It's different when you know what you're doing. I've been reading about it. Basic strategy. Card counting. It's not luck, it's math. Another pause. Longer this time. How much money are we talking about? Not much. Few hundred. Just enough to take the pressure off while unemployment kicks in. Jake sighed. I could picture him standing in Peterson's parking lot, oil-stained coveralls, deciding how much trouble his best friend was about to get into. What does Sarah think about this? She doesn't know, and I don't want her to worry. Maybe she should. Worry. Jake, I'm not some degenerate. I played for 3 hours last month and walked out ahead. I understand the game. I know when to hit, when to stand, when to split. This isn't throwing money at slot machines. Okay, he said finally. But I'm coming with you. You don't have to. Yeah, I do. If you're going to do this, you're not doing it alone. After we hung up, I opened my laptop and went back to the blackjack sites I'd been studying. Basic strategy charts. Odds calculations. YouTube videos of professional players explaining when to take insurance, when to double down, when to walk away. The math was beautiful in its simplicity. The house edge in blackjack was smaller than most people thought. Less than 1% if you played perfectly. Compare that to the lottery, where the house kept 50 cents of every dollar. Compare it to slots, where the house edge could be 15% or higher. I printed out a basic strategy chart and taped it to my refrigerator. Hit 16 against dealer 10. Stand on 17. Double down on 11. Split aces and eights. Never take insurance. Simple rules. Easy to follow. I dealt myself practice hands using a deck I found in my kitchen drawer. Cards I'd bought years ago for poker nights that never happened. The deck was still sealed in plastic. 7 of hearts. Queen of spades. 17. Dealer shows 6. I stand. Dealer flips jack, then 6. 22. Bust. I win. King of diamonds, ace of clubs. Blackjack. Automatic winner. 3 of clubs, 8 of hearts. 11 total. Dealer shows 9. I double down, drawing the 6 of spades. 17. Dealer flips. 10, then 5. 24. Bust. I win again. I practiced for an hour, timing myself on decisions, until the moves became automatic. This wasn't about luck. This was about discipline. About making the mathematically correct choice every time, regardless of hunches or superstition. 18:30. Jake texted, "Pick you up at 8 tomorrow night." I looked at the bill spread. Across my table. At the practice cards. At the strategy chart on my refrigerator. Yes, I texted back. Time to make some money. I spent another hour on the computer reading about casino etiquette. How to tip dealers. How much to buy in for. How to size your bets based on your bankroll. The professionals recommended never risking more than 5% of your total money on any single session. That I had $1,847 in checking. 5% was $92. But that seemed small for the kind of money I needed to make. If I was careful, if I stuck to basic strategy and managed my bankroll properly, I could risk more. Maybe 200 to start. Grind it up to 400 over a few hours, then stop. Conservative. Professional. Like any other job. I set my alarm for 6 a.m. Tomorrow I'd visit the bank, withdraw the cash, then spend the day sending out resumes and making phone calls. Do the responsible things. But tomorrow night, I'd do something else. Something that felt like taking control instead of waiting for help. I fell asleep with the strategy chart running through my head like a prayer. Hit 16 against 10. Stand on 17. Double down on 11. The mathematics of hope. The Bank of America on Colfax smelled like floor wax and other people's money. Mrs. Chen smiled at me from behind the counter, same as always. I'd been coming here for 8 years, ever since I moved to Denver. Good morning, Marcus. How can I help you? I need to withdraw 400 cash. She typed something into her computer. From checking? Yes, ma'am. The machine counted 20s with mechanical precision. Mrs. Chen slipped them into an envelope and slid it across the marble counter. Have a good day, she said. You too. Walking to my truck, the envelope felt heavier than it should. $400 in cash. More money than I'd ever carried at one time. I slipped it into my jacket pocket and zipped it closed. I spent the morning on my laptop, updating my resume. 15 years of construction experience. Specialized in commercial framing. Reliable. Hardworking. All true. But it felt like selling something nobody wanted to buy. I sent emails to 6 contractors. Called 4 more. Left voicemails with men who sounded as tired as I felt. We'll keep your information on file, they all said. Code 4. Don't hold your breath. By noon, I was pacing my apartment. The envelope sat on my kitchen counter like it was radioactive. I kept walking past it, feeling its presence. I made a sandwich I didn't want and ate it standing up. Check my email. No responses. Refresh my bank account. Same numbers. At 2 o'clock. I called Sarah. How's the job hunt? She asked. Good. Making progress. Lots of leads. Lies came easier than I expected. That's great. I'm proud of you for staying positive. Listen, Jake and I are going to grab some beers tonight. Blow off steam. Sounds perfect. You need guy time. If she suspected anything, her voice didn't show it. Sarah trusted me. That trust felt like another weight in my pocket. I'll call you tomorrow, I said. After we hung up, I went back to the computer. Not for job hunting this time. I spent 3 hours on gambling sites, reading about blackjack tournaments, bankroll management, casino comps. I watched YouTube videos of professional players explaining their techniques. The more I learned, the more confident I became. This wasn't random chance. It was skill, pattern recognition, mathematical decision-making under pressure that I practiced. With my kitchen cards until the moves became muscle memory. Hit soft 17. Split 8s against anything except ace. Never take even money on blackjack. At 6 o'clock. I showered and put on clean jeans and my lucky shirt. The blue one Sarah said brought out my eyes. I transferred the cash from the envelope to my wallet, then put my wallet in my front pocket, where I could feel it. Jake would be here in 2 hours. Time to make some money. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Thanks for your application. Position filled. Good luck. Another door closed. But tonight, I was going to open a different one. Jake's Camaro pulled up at 8 sharp, Metallica bleeding through the windows. He'd washed it for the occasion, black paint gleaming under the streetlights. You ready for this? He asked as I got in. Born ready. But my hands were shaking slightly as I buckled my seatbelt. Jake noticed. We don't have to do this, you know. Could just grab beers somewhere. No, I need this. The drive to Riverside Casino took 23 minutes through suburban Denver. Strip malls, chain restaurants, the ordinary landscape of people working ordinary jobs for ordinary money. So what's the plan? Jake asked. Start with 200. Play basic strategy. Grind it up slowly. Nothing fancy. And if you lose it, I won't. But if you do, I stop. Walk away. Try again next week with unemployment money. Jake nodded, but his jaw was tight. He'd agreed to this, but he didn't like it. What about Sarah? What about her? She's going to find out eventually. There's nothing to find out. This is a business transaction. I'm using skill to generate income while I'm between jobs. Marcus, listen to yourself. I am listening. And I'm hearing someone who understands mathematics better than most people. Someone who's about to solve his financial problems instead of wallowing in them. We drove in silence for a while. The radio played Enter Sandman. Jake drummed his fingers on the steering wheel. You ever been to a Gamblers Anonymous meeting? He asked. Why would I? Just wondering. Peterson's cousin went to some. Said it was mostly people telling stories about losing their houses. I'm not losing my house. I don't even own a house. You know what I mean. The casino's neon sign appeared on the horizon like a sunrise made of light. Riverside Casino. Vegas-style gambling. Live entertainment. My pulse quickened. Jake parked between a rusty pickup and a pristine Lexus. The parking lot held every kind of vehicle. Work trucks and luxury cars, minivans and motorcycles. Democracy of hope. Last chance to change your mind. Jake said that I got out without answering. The night air felt electric. Full of possibility. Walking toward the entrance, I ran through my strategy one more time. $200 buy-in. $25 minimum bets. Basic strategy, no deviations. Play for 3 hours. Win 400. Go home. Simple. Professional. Mathematical. The automatic doors opened with a whisper, welcoming us into air-conditioned. Promise. Here we go, I said. Jake followed me inside, shaking his head. Riverside Casino at 8:45 on a Wednesday night. Cigarette smoke layered like fog. Slot machines singing electronic lullabies. Carpet designed to hide every sin ever committed on it. The place hummed with quiet desperation disguised as entertainment. I'd been here before, but tonight felt different. Tonight, I wasn't a tourist. I was a professional with a plan. Table games are this way. I told Jake that we walked past rows of slot machines where people fed dollars into mechanical mouths. Old women with oxygen tanks. Young men in work clothes. A grandmother teaching her teenage grandson which buttons to push. The blackjack pit sat in the center of the casino like an island. For tables, each with green felt and yellow betting circles. Table 4 had an open seat and a familiar face. Well, hello there, said the dealer. Middle-aged woman, graying hair pulled back in a ponytail. Name tag read Diane. Haven't seen you since that birthday party. Good memory, I said, sitting down. I remember the winners. You walked out with what? $80? Something like that. Jake found a chair at the slot machine behind me. Close enough to watch, far enough to give me space that I pulled out my wallet and counted 4 $50 bills onto the felt. 200, I said. Diane pushed a stack of chips across the betting circle. Red $5 chips. Green 25s. I stacked them carefully, organizing them by color and value. Good luck, honey, said the cocktail waitress. She was young, blonde, wearing the kind of outfit that belonged in a different decade. Just water, I said. The other players looked like regulars. An old man in a veteran's cap betting minimum. A woman in scrubs, probably a nurse coming off shift, like Sarah. A younger guy in a business suit betting green chips. Diane dealt the cards with practiced efficiency. I got 7 of hearts, queen of spades. 17. Her up card was 6. Basic strategy. Stand on 17 against 6. Let the dealer bust. Stand, I said. The other players made their moves. The old man hit his 16 and got a 5. 21. The nurse stood on 18. The business suit doubled down on 11 and drew a 10. Diane flipped her whole card. Jack of clubs. 16 total. She had to hit .5 of diamonds. 21. She swept everyone's chips except the old man's. Sorry, folks, she said, not sounding sorry. I'd lost $25 in 30 seconds. No big deal. Variance. This was why I'd brought a proper bankroll. Second hand. King 3 against dealer 9. Basic strategy said hit the 13.6 of hearts. 19. Much better. Diane had 9-7. 16. She drew a queen and busted. I won 25 back. Even money. Exactly where I'd started. There we go, I said to Jake. He nodded but didn't smile. Third hand. Pair of 8s against dealer 10. Basic strategy. Split the 8s. I put another 25 on the table. Diane dealt me a 3 on the first 8. 10 on the second. 11 and 18. I doubled down on the 11, adding another 25. 4 bets total, $100 on the table. Drew a 9. 20. Diane flipped a 6 under her 10. 16. She drew a 5 for 21, lost all 4 bets. Down $100 in 3 minutes. Tough luck, Diane said. This time she did. Sound sorry. My careful plan was already bleeding. But this was still within normal variance. I had 1100 left. Plenty of ammunition. Time to get serious. An hour in. I was up $40 and feeling like I'd cracked the code of the universe. The cards were falling exactly as basic strategy predicted. Hit 16 against 10. Stand on soft 18. Split 9s against dealer 6. You're pretty good at this, Diane said, dealing another round. Just following the book. Jake had moved to a slot machine 2 rows back, occasionally glancing over. The cocktail waitress had brought me 3 waters. I'd tipped her $1 each. Time. The other players came and went. The old veteran cashed out after losing 50. The nurse left during her break from night shift. New faces took their seats. A construction worker like me, a woman celebrating her divorce, a college kid who looked too young to be here. My chips had grown from 4 red stacks to 6. $240. Right on schedule. Dealer change. Diane announced. Kevin will take care of you. Kevin was maybe 24, thin, with quick hands and tired eyes. He dealt faster than Diane. No small talk. Cards flew across the felt like he was dealing to machines instead of people. First hand with Kevin. Jack 7 versus dealer 8. 17. Basic strategy said stand. Kevin flipped 9 underneath for 17. Push. No winner. Second hand. Ace 6 versus 5. Soft 17. I hit and drew a 3. 20. Kevin had 15, drew a 6. 21. House wins, he said, sweeping my chips. The faster pace felt different. Less time to think, more pressure to act. I started making smaller bets, 15, instead of 25, trying to adjust to the new rhythm, but the cards turned cold. I lost 6 hands in a row. Not because I made mistakes. I played perfect basic strategy. The mathematics just worked against me. 240 became 180. 180 became 140. Rough patch, said the construction worker next to me. It happens. But my throat felt tight. This wasn't supposed to happen. I'd studied the game. I knew the odds. I was playing perfectly. Jake appeared at my shoulder. How we doing? He asked quietly. Fine. Just a cold streak. Maybe take a break? Get some food. In a minute. I couldn't stop now. I was down $60 from my high point, but still up 40 from my starting stack. A few good hands would get me back to even. Then I could grind upward again. Kevin dealt me blackjack, ace and jack. Automatic winner, 3-2 payout, except Kevin had blackjack too. Ace king. Push, he said. Even my good luck was bad luck. BY. 10 o'clock, I was down to 160. Still ahead of my starting point, but the momentum felt wrong. I needed to win back those $80, get to my target, then leave. I increased my bet to 35. King queen versus dealer 6. 20. Excellent hand. Kevin flipped his whole card. 5. Then drew a jack. 21. House wins. Now I was down to 125. Below my starting point for the first time. My hands were sweating. I wiped them on my jeans and reached for my wallet. Time for reinforcements. I pulled out another 200 in cash. Kevin exchanged it for chips without expression. Dealers saw this every night. Players reaching deeper into their wallets, chasing losses with fresh money. You sure about this? Jake asked quietly. It's still part of the plan. For 100 total. Bankroll, just like I said. But this wasn't the plan. The plan was to win steadily and leave ahead. The plan didn't include being down $75 and pulling out more money. 400 total. That was still reasonable. Still professional. I just needed to be more careful with bet sizing. Kevin dealt the cards. I had 11 versus dealer 4. Perfect double down spot. I put another 35 on the table and drew a 9. 20. Kevin flipped a 10 under his 4. 14. Drew a 7. 21. Lost another 70. Goddamn, I said, louder than I meant to. It happens, said the woman next to me. She'd been here when I sat down, drinking free cocktails and betting red chips. Cards get cold sometimes. But this wasn't about cold cards. This was about variance. About statistical fluctuations that even out over thousands of hands. I just needed to play longer, Let the mathematics work. I looked at my remaining chips. Maybe 200 left from my 400 total investment. Down 200 in 2 hours. This was still recoverable. 200 could become 400 with the right run. Then I'd have my original bankroll back, plus profit. Kevin dealt me a pair of 8s versus dealer 10. Basic strategy, split them. I put another 35 on the table. 2 hands now, 70 in action. First 8 got a 3. 11 total. I doubled down, adding another 35. Drew a 6. 17. Second 8 got a 10. 18. Kevin flipped his whole card. 6. Then drew a 5. 21. Lost all 3 bets. 105 gone in one hand. My chest felt tight. This wasn't variance anymore. This was hemorrhaging. Take a break. Jake suggested again. Just a few more hands. I had maybe 120 left in chips. At 35 per hand, that was 3 or 4 chances to get even. 3 or 4 opportunities to solve this problem and walk away whole. Kevin dealt me blackjack. Ace-jack. Finally, he had an ace showing. Insurance? He asked. Basic strategy said never take insurance. But if he had blackjack too, my blackjack would only push instead of win. I'd stay stuck instead of getting back toward even. Insurance, I said, putting out half my bet. Kevin flipped his whole card. Queen. 21. Push on the blackjack. But I won the insurance bet, even money. Same as losing. I stared at the chips, trying to understand how winning and losing could feel identical. 11:30 p.m. I was down to $80 in chips, and Kevin had just gone on break. Diane returned to the table like an old friend, but the warmth in her eyes looked different now. Less welcoming, more concerned. How we doing tonight? She asked, but she could see exactly how I was doing. Been better. Jake had stopped pretending to play slots. He stood directly behind my chair now, close enough that I could feel his disapproval. Mark, he said quietly, this isn't working. It's working fine. Just a bad run. But my voice sounded hollow, even to me. I'd lost $320 in 3 hours. At my construction job, that was 2 full days of work after taxes. The cocktail waitress appeared with another water. I tipped her a red chip, $5 I couldn't afford to give away. But tipping kept her friendly, kept the drinks coming, kept up the illusion that I belonged here. You want something stronger? She asked. Might help you relax. Just water. Alcohol would cloud my judgment. I needed to think clearly, play perfectly, find my way back to even. Diane dealt the cards. I got 9-7 versus her 5-16. The worst hand in blackjack. Basic strategy, stand on 16 against 5. Let the dealer bust. But Diane had been hot all night. She'd been making 20 and 21 like it was her job. Which, technically, it was. I stared at my cards. 16 against 5. By the book, I should stand. But the book hadn't been working tonight. Hit, I said. You sure, honey? 16 against 5. Hit me. She dealt a 4. 20. Perfect. Diane flipped her whole card. 8. Then drew a 9. 22. Bust. I won. Sometimes you got to trust your instincts, said the divorced woman, raising her cocktail glass. But that wasn't instincts. That was desperation making decisions. I'd violated basic strategy and gotten lucky. The kind of luck that makes you believe you're special, that rules don't apply to you. I won the next hand too. Then the next. In 15 minutes, I climbed from $80 to $160. Still down from my original 400, but moving in the right direction. The cards felt warmer in my hands. The casino air didn't seem so thick. Jake relaxed slightly behind me. There we go, I said. Told you it would turn around. But even as I said it, I knew I was lying to both of us. This wasn't skill or strategy. This was just the random swing. A variance, the casino's way of keeping you in your seat long enough to take everything. Diane dealt me another hand. King-queen versus her 6. 20. She flipped a 5 underneath. 11. Then drew a 10.21. The brief winning streak ended as quickly as it began. I was back down to 125. Jake put his hand on my shoulder. Time to go, he said. I looked at my remaining chips. Not enough to get even, but enough for a few more chances. A few more opportunities to fix this. 5 more minutes, I said. But I could hear something in my voice that hadn't been there at the start of the night. Something that sounded like begging midnight. The casino felt different now. Harsher lights, stale air, sounds that grated instead of thrilled. I was down to $90 in chips, and my shirt was damp with sweat despite the air conditioning. Diane dealt me a pair of 7s versus her 8. Basic strategy said to hit the 14, but I'd been hitting 14 all night and busting. Maybe it was time to try something different. Split them, I said, putting out another 25.2 hands now. $50 in action, more than half my remaining chips. First 7 got a 4. 11 total. Perfect double down card. Double, I said, adding another 25. $75 on this one hand. Drew a 10. 21. Beautiful. Second 7 got a queen. 17. Not great, but playable. Diane flipped her whole card. King. 18. I won the first hand, lost the second. Net gain of 25. Back. Up to 115. Nice split, said a new player who'd just sat down. Older guy, expensive watch, betting black chips. He looked like he belonged here. Thanks. You've got good instincts. Most people don't know when to deviate from basic strategy. His comment felt like validation. Maybe I did have instincts. Maybe I was learning to read the cards, to feel the flow of the game beyond mathematics. Next hand. 10-4 versus dealer. 9. 14. Basic strategy said hit, but I'd been hitting 14s all night and busting. The cards felt cold. Maybe it was time to trust my gut instead of the book. Stand, I said. Diane raised an eyebrow but didn't comment. She flipped her whole card. 7. 16. Drew a 6. 22. Bust. I won again. See, said the expensive watch guy. Field trumps formula sometimes. I was up to 140 now. Still down 260 from my total investment, but climbing. The key was to stop thinking like a robot and start thinking like a player. Diane dealt me ace 6. Soft 17. Basic strategy said hit, but soft 17 had been trouble for me. Tonight, maybe it was better to stand, hope the dealer busted. Stand, I said. Honey, you sure? That's a soft 17. I'm sure. Diane shrugged and moved to the next player. When she got back to herself, she flipped a 10 underneath her 8. 18. My 17 lost to her 18. The expensive watch guy shook his head. Tough break. You played it right, though. Sometimes the cards just don't cooperate. But I hadn't played it right. I'd played it wrong according to basic strategy and lost because of it. The problem was that playing it right had been losing 2. I was back down to 115. The swings were getting bigger, more emotional. Each win felt like vindication. Each loss felt like betrayal. Jake appeared at my shoulder again. Mark, it's midnight. Sarah's going to wonder where you are. Sarah. I'd forgotten about Sarah. She thought I was out having beers with Jake, blowing off steam after losing my job. She thought I was being responsible. Just a few more hands, I said. I'm almost back to even. But I wasn't close to even. I was down 285 and falling. Diane dealt me blackjack. Ace King. Natural 21. Automatic winner. Except she had an ace showing. Even money, she asked. Taking even money meant accepting a 1-to-1 payout instead of the normal 3-to-2. But it guaranteed I'd win something, even if she also had blackjack. Basic strategy said never take even money. But basic strategy hadn't been working tonight. Even money, I said. Diane paid me $25 and turned over her cards without checking her whole card. It didn't matter now. I'd won, but it felt like losing. I was playing scared, making decisions based on fear instead of mathematics. The expensive watch guy leaned over. You should probably call it a night, he said quietly. You're tilting. Tilting. Poker term for when emotions override logic. When you start making bad decisions because you're desperate to get even. But I wasn't tilting. I was adapting. Learning. To read the flow of cards that went beyond textbook strategy. At least, that's what I told myself as I watched my remaining chips dwindle toward 0 at 12:30 a.m. Down to $40 in chips, I asked Diane for a marker application. The words came out before I could stop them, like my mouth had decided without consulting my brain. You sure about that, honey? Diane asked, but she was already reaching under the table for the forms. What's a marker? Jake asked. Casino credit, said the expensive watch guy. They loan you money against your bank account. Jake grabbed my arm. Marcus, no. But I was already filling out the paperwork. Name, address, bank account number. The same account that held my rent money. My truck. Payment. My last $1,847 minus the $400 I'd already lost. How much? Diane asked. $500. The number felt both enormous and insufficient. $500 would get me back in the game. Give me ammunition to win back the $300 I'd lost. But it also meant I'd be in for $900 total if Things went wrong. Things wouldn't go wrong. I'd learned from my mistakes. The first 400 had been tuition. Now I was educated. The pit boss appeared. A woman in her 50s with eyes that had seen every kind of desperation. She reviewed my application, made a phone call, typed something into a computer. Approved, she said. 500, paid back. Within 30 days. She counted out 500 in chips like she was dealing drugs. Green 25s and black hundreds. Professional denominations. The chips felt different than the reds I'd been playing with. Heavier. More serious. This is a mistake, Jake said. The only mistake was not doing this earlier. I said. I've been undercapitalized. You can't win without proper bankroll. The expensive watch guy nodded. True. Scared money never wins. But I was scared. My hands shook as I placed a $50 bet. Diane dealt me 20. She had a 7 showing, flipped. A jack. 17. I won. There we go, I said, trying to sound confident. Comeback starts now. Jake sat down in the empty seat beside me. If you're going to do this, I'm staying right here. Diane dealt the next hand. The marker chips felt like borrowed time, each. Bet a promise I wasn't sure I could keep. But at least I was back in action. At least I had a chance. 1 a.m. The marker money was supposed to last hours. It lasted 45 minutes that I watched the last black chip disappear into Diane's tray after another perfect 21 for the house. $900 gone. 400 cash, 500 borrowed against my checking account. I'm sorry, honey, Diane said, and this time she meant it. The expensive watch guy had left after watching me blow through the marker. Even he could recognize disaster when he saw it. The other players avoided eye contact, like poverty might be contagious. Let's go, Jake said. Wait. I pulled out my phone, checked my credit card balance. 3,000 available credit. Money I'd kept clear for emergencies. This was an emergency. There's an ATM by the sports book, I said. Marcus, stop. I can't stop. I'm in for 900. I need to win that back. You need to walk away. With what? I owe the casino 500. My rent's due Thursday. I have no job. Walking away isn't an option. Jake stood up. Then I'm walking away. I can't watch this anymore. Fine. Leave. I don't need a babysitter. But I did need him. I needed someone to stop me, to physically prevent what I was about to do. Jake hesitated, torn between friendship and enabling destruction. Please, I said. Just another hour. If I can't get even in an hour, we leave. He sat back down. 1 hour. The ATM charged a $12 fee for cash advances. I took out 500, the maximum for a single transaction. The machine asked if I wanted a receipt. I selected no. Evidence of this decision would only make it real. Back at the table, Diane had been replaced by a young dealer named Carlos. Fresh start, I told myself. New dealer, new cards, new luck. 500, I said, laying the cash on the felt. Carlos exchanged it for chips without expression. He'd seen this play before, the desperate ATM run, the credit card cavalry riding to the rescue. I bet $50. Carlos dealt me 11. I doubled down, putting another 50 at risk. Drew a 10. 21. Carlos had 13, drew a king. Bust. I won $200 in 10 seconds. The relief felt like a drug hitting my bloodstream. See, I told Jake. Just needed fresh money. 2 a.m. The credit card money had multiplied. 500 became 700, 700 became 900. I was almost even. Another few winning hands, and I could pay back the marker, return the cash advance, walk away whole. Color up? Carlos asked. Shift change coming. Keep playing, I said. Jake had stopped protesting. He sat beside me like a grieving relative at a hospital bed, present but powerless. The new dealer was the fastest yet. A kid who couldn't have been much older than 21 himself, dealing cards like he was trying to break a speed record. The pace rattled me. I made mistakes, standing when I should hit, hitting when I should stand. 900 became 700. 700 became 500. I was back where I'd started with the credit card advance, except now I owed that money plus the marker plus the original 400 cash. $1,400 deep with nothing to show for it. Bathroom break, I announced, needing to move, to think, to breathe air that didn't smell like failure. I in the bathroom. I splashed cold water on my face and stared at myself in the mirror. My eyes were bloodshot. My lucky shirt was soaked with sweat. I looked like someone I wouldn't trust with $20, let alone 1,400. My phone showed 3 texts from Sarah. How's your night going? Jake keeping you out of trouble? Love you. See you tomorrow. I typed back. Great night. Love you too. Then I went back to the ATM and took out another 500 that the machine warned me about my cash advance limit. $1,000 per day. Maximum. This was it. The last reinforcement. I told myself this final 500 would be different. I'd bet smaller, play tighter, grind my way back to even. I'd learned from every mistake. I understood the game now. Walking back to the table, I passed an old man sitting at a slot machine, feeding it quarters from a plastic cup. He looked up at me and shook his head. They always win, son, he said. House always wins. Not tonight, I said, but my voice cracked on the word tonight, like even I didn't believe it anymore. 3 a.m. The second credit card advance was gone. $1,900 turned into smoke and promises that I sat at the table with empty hands, watching Carlos deal to the other players. My spot stayed empty, a void where my money used to be. You can play, Carlos said. Another marker? The pit. Boss had already approached once, offering another 500. All I had to do was sign. But that would put me at $2,400 down. More than a month's expenses. More than I could hide from Sarah. I need a minute, I said Jake. And I walked to the food court. Fluorescent lights made everything look medical, institutional. We sat at a plastic table sticky with spilled soda. This is rock bottom, Jake said. You know that, right? I was so close. If that kid hadn't been dealing so fast. Stop. Listen. To yourself. You don't understand. The math works. I just need a bigger bankroll, more time for the variance to even out. The math doesn't work. The casino wouldn't exist if the math worked. I knew he was right, but knowing and believing were different things. In my head, I could still see the path back to even. A few thousand more, properly deployed, carefully managed. I need to go back, I said. No, just to ask about payment plans for the marker. Work something out. Jake pulled out his car keys. We're leaving. Now. I can't leave owing them money. You can't stay owing them your life. My phone buzzed. Sarah calling. 3:15 in the morning. She'd woken up, noticed I wasn't home. I let it go to voicemail. She's going to find out. Jake said, not if I fix this. You can't fix this tonight. Then when? Tomorrow when I have no job and no money? Next week when I can't make rent? Jake stood up. I'm going to the car. You can come with me, or you can find your own way home. But I'm not watching you destroy yourself anymore. He walked away. I sat at the sticky table, calculating possibilities. I had 3 credit cards. The first was maxed on cash advances, but the others might work. Another 1,000 or 2. Enough to make a real run at getting even. My phone buzzed again. Voicemail from Sarah. Where are you? I'm worried. Please call me. 3:30 a.m. Jake was gone. His Camaro's taillights had disappeared 10 minutes ago, leaving me in the casino parking lot with a decision. I walked back inside. The casino felt different at this hour. Desperate. The only people left were the ones who couldn't leave, the addicted, the destroyed, the ones trying to win back their car payments, their mortgages, their dignity. I found another ATM, this one near the penny slots. My second credit card had a $2,000 limit. I'd never used it, kept it pristine for emergencies. The machine accepted my card, processed my PIN, then delivered a message. Transaction declined. Please contact your bank. I tried the third card. Same message. The banks had cut me off. They'd seen the pattern, multiple cash advances at a casino in the middle of the night, and decided I was too risky. I stood at the ATM like it might change its mind. An elderly woman shuffled past, dragging an oxygen tank, heading for the nickel slots. They never work when you need them, she said. Back at the blackjack table, Carlos was gone. Diane had returned for the graveyard shift. She looked at me with something between pity and resignation. No luck at the ATM? She asked. How did you know? Honey, I've been doing this for 15 years. I know the pattern. I sat in my old seat without chips, just watching. The other players had all the same cards I would have gotten, winning and losing in patterns I could almost predict. I can comp you breakfast, Diane said. Kitchen opens at 4. I'm not hungry. You should eat something. Clear your head. The pit boss appeared again. Mr. Delacroix? About that marker. I'll pay it. I just need a few days. Of course. But if you'd like to continue playing tonight, we can extend another 500. Another 500. Enough to get back in the game. Enough to win everything back. No, I said, surprising myself. I'm done. The pit boss handed me paperwork about the marker. Payment due in 30 days. Interest rate that would make a loan. Sharp blush. I signed without reading. 4 a.m. I called Jake from the parking lot. He answered on the first ring. I'll come get you, he said. No anger. Just exhaustion. While I waited, I did math on my phone calculator. 1,900 in losses. 500 owed to the casino. Rent due in 2 days. Truck payment tomorrow. No job. No prospects. The numbers didn't add up to anything but disaster. Sarah called again. I sent it to voicemail, then listened to her message. Marcus, it's 4 in the morning. I don't know what's going on, but I'm scared. Please come home. Jake's Camaro pulled up 20 minutes later. I got in without speaking. He drove in silence until we hit the highway. How bad? He finally asked. 1,900 gone. 500 marker I have to pay back. Jesus. I can fix this. How? I don't know. Get a loan. Sell something. Sell what? You don't own anything worth selling. He was right. My truck was worth less than I owed on it. My TV was 5 years old. My most valuable possession was probably my construction tools, and I needed those to work. I'll figure it out, I said. You need help. I need money. Not that kind of help. We drove past downtown Denver. The buildings lit up like they were mocking me. All those offices full of people with real jobs, stable incomes, problems that didn't involve owing casinos money they didn't have. You have to tell Sarah, Jake said. I can't. She's going to find out. Not if I fix it first. Mark, you can't fix this. You're broke. You're in debt. You have a gambling problem. I don't have a gambling problem. I had one bad night. Jake pulled into my apartment complex. One bad night. You just lost $2,400 you don't have. You took out markers. You maxed your credit cards. That's not a bad night. That's a crisis. I got out of the car. Thanks for the ride. Mark, I closed the door and walked to my apartment. Sarah's car was in the lot. She was here, waiting time. To lie to the woman I loved. 4:45 a.m. Sarah sat on my couch in her pajamas, eyes red from crying or exhaustion or both. When I walked in, she stood up but didn't move toward me. Where were you? With Jake. I told you. Jake called me. An hour ago. Said you needed to talk to me. Said he was worried. Jake had betrayed me. Or saved me. I couldn't tell which. We went to a casino. I said, trying for casual. Played some cards. Lost track of time. Until 4 in the morning. It was stupid. I'm sorry. She studied my face like she was diagnosing symptoms. How much did you lose? Not much. Couple hundred. Marcus, don't lie to me. I'm not. Your shirt is soaked. Your eyes are bloodshot. You look like you've been through hell. How much? I sat on the couch, suddenly exhausted. The adrenaline that had kept me upright for 8 hours evaporated. 1,900. Plus a 500 marker. Sarah's legs seemed to give out. She sat down hard in the chair across from me. $2,400. I can fix it. With what money? You lost your job 2 days ago. I'll get another job. I'll pay it back. How did you even have $2,400 to lose? Credit cards. Cash. Advances. She was doing math in her head. I could see her processing the implications. Rent. Bills. The careful life we'd built crumbling. I have savings, she said finally. 3,000. I can cover your rent and the marker. No, Marcus, I'm not taking your money. Then what's your plan? Because from where I'm sitting, you don't have one. She was right. I had no plan beyond the vague hope that tomorrow would somehow be different than today. I need help, I said. The words came out small, almost inaudible. Sarah moved to the couch, took my hand. Her fingers were steady while mine trembled. Okay, she said. We'll figure this out. But no more lying. No more casinos. You have to promise. I promise. But even as I said it, I was thinking about the blackjack table. About the next hand I didn't get to play. About how close I'd been to winning it all back. 5:30 a.m. Sarah was in my shower. I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop, looking at Gamblers Anonymous meetings. There was one at noon, 3 miles away, in a Methodist church basement. The website had a 20-question quiz. Are you a compulsive gambler? Do you lose time from work due to gambling? Yes.is gambling making your home life unhappy? Yes.is gambling affecting your reputation? Yes. Have you ever felt remorse after gambling? Yes, D. Oh, you ever gamble to get money to pay debts? Yes, then I stopped. After 5 questions. The pattern was clear. Sarah emerged from the bathroom in yesterday's clothes. Hair wet, face composed. I called in sick, she said. We're going to the bank, then to the church meeting, then we're going to make a budget. I can handle this myself. No, you can't. That's the point. She was taking charge the way she did at the hospital, assessing the crisis, triaging problems, creating treatment plans. The marker has to be paid first, she said. That's casino debt. They'll come after you legally. Then we deal with the credit cards. I said I don't want your money. And I said, we're fixing this. Your pride doesn't get a vote anymore. She pulled out her phone, transferred $3,000 from her savings to her checking. $3,000 she'd saved over 2 years. Money for the vacation we'd planned, the future we'd imagined. This is a loan, she said. You'll pay me back when you're working again. Sarah, no arguments. Get dressed. We're going to the casino. I put on clean clothes, but I could still smell the casino on my skin. Cigarette smoke and desperation soaked in deep. Driving to Riverside in the morning light felt like returning to a crime scene. The parking lot was mostly empty. The neon signs looked pale and sad against the dawn sky. I'll wait here, Sarah said, and sighed. The casino looked smaller, shabbier. The carpet stains were visible. The slot machines sounded tinny and false. Diane was at the same table, dealing to 2 old men who looked like they'd been there all night. The pit boss processed Sarah's check. Without comment. The marker was paid. The paper trail of my failure erased, except for the memory. Walking out, I passed the blackjack table one last time. Diane gave me a small wave. Good luck, honey. She called that I needed more than luck. I needed a miracle. But first, I needed to admit I had a problem.